Spartan Nation? This is Ken, the Super Black Spartan, here with my good brother Brian, Williams Incorporated, here for another episode of Cue the Woodshed, here to recap the Richmond game, and some other things.
Other things.
Yes. Not so good things, unfortunately. So we're just going to kick it off with the obvious. Mel Tucker. We know what's going on. All the Spartan Nation is on fire. So what are your initial thoughts, Mr. Brian?
I don't know if the Spartan Nation is on fire. I think there was probably 5 stages of grief. You know, everybody, it comes out late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. We just beat Richmond and we're on to Washington, our big game, our measuring stick game, and we get the news about our head coach acting inappropriately.
Very inappropriately.
I think when that news came out after the shock part, everybody in Spartan Nation kind of agreed like it's time to move on from Mel Tucker. And it's unfortunate because I really wanted him to do well at Michigan State.
I agree.
I thought he brought a lot of enthusiasm. Michigan State modernized our program. We got new facilities. Everybody was on board. Everybody lifted him up. This is the first time probably a head coach had this much support from people inside and outside the university, and all that's going now. And the only thing we can do is try to move forward.
Yeah, I agree. Like you, I was very, I guess, I don't want to say saddened, but in shock. Definitely in shock about this whole situation here. And like you were saying, yeah, he definitely brought a different type of thing, a different type of swag to the program. And all of a sudden, it was in a blink of an eye like that. It was just gone. Just here today, gone tomorrow. And now, it seems like you have a lot of more information coming out. And unfortunately, came at the wrong time. But like you said, we got to keep it moving.
Yeah, maybe, glass half full. Maybe this Mel Tucker thing wasn't going to work out, and this just starts that next part of the process. And that's kind of a cynical way of thinking. But there are a lot of people who weren't really feeling Mel Tucker as the coach and where he was leading the program. And with his own actions, he gave that faction all they needed. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody is shocked anymore about, okay, he's not going to coach again at Michigan State. I think that's a fact. And everybody's moved on. We have Harlan Barnett has been named the interim head coach. They brought back Coach D, Mark D'Antonio, to help steady the ship. I'm glad that a steadying hand is there just to kind of guide Michigan State football through the end of this year. And we can see that the team seemed energized. They're trying to move forward. All the reports on the message board are saying that they've embraced the challenge of, okay, everybody was expecting little of us, now expecting even less. And so they're going to hopefully just galvanize the team and on to Washington and see what we can do from there.
Yep, on to Washington. Yeah, Harlan Barnett does come with a lot of receipts, as they say. I didn't even know that he actually played at Michigan State back in the day.
That's your fun fact. Yeah. I can't believe you didn't know that.
I didn't. I know. Hey.
You supposed to be Mr.
Bad
Sparty.
on me. I'm sorry.
You bad Sparty today.
So, as they say, we got to keep things moving. We're done with that. Let's get to the game about Richmond. What's your initial reaction, initial thoughts?
I know we're getting to good Sparty, bad Sparty, but I feel like overall Michigan State took care of business. There were some concerning things, but I felt there were some concerning things, and then I felt like reassured about some things. Mm-hmm. I felt the defense, they stepped up, they played really well. There are a couple things here and there that they gave up, but overall that shut them down. I think total, Richmond had less than 200 yards.
Yes. So,
obviously, the defense did their thing. Noah Him. He got hot, and I think it was 17 or 18 straight completions. He looked very comfortable out there, and that's good to see from your quarterback. no matter who they're playing. 17 completions, 17 completions.
Right. And no interceptions.
No interceptions. And so it looked good. There are some concerns. I didn't think Michigan State was able to run the ball, as effectively as I expected them to. But they rotate a lot of guys in and out, so maybe that's just them still trying to finalize the best offensive line. But there was a little pause there for me.
Okay. Yeah, I thought overall the performance was really good. Michigan State did take care of business like they should have. And at this point in the season, going to the game against Washington, I do feel better compared to last year, because last year at this time, I believe we played Akron, whooped them like 52-0, but that 52 points didn't look like 52 points.
It looked like it felt like a grind. And I'm sorry we didn't mention the actual score of the Richmond game. Won 45-14 with the
45-14.
45-14. So yeah, the vibes last year felt different. Coming off those, I think they played was Western first, and then they played Akron.
Yeah.
And the team looked different. The defense was giving up some things. The score didn't indicate it, but to even my untrained football eye said something looks weird here. Something doesn't look right, and I'm concerned. And then we had some major injuries beginning the first two games as well, so that didn't help for Washington last year. But this year, a little different vibes. There are some injuries. We'll get to that. But overall, I thought the defense looked cohesive. They looked at a plan. There's no communication. But I know that Central Michigan and Richmond aren't the best passing teams. But State looked competent, and they had looked competent against anybody passing the ball for almost a year and a half.
Right.
So, again, there are some things that we can have hope for.
Right. So, let's get into it. Good Sparty, bad Sparty. Dun, dun, dun. So, as usual, I was going to kick off with the bad.
Get it out the way.
So, for me, again, there was a slow start for the offense, similar to the Central Michigan game. It wasn't as slow as it was from the first game, because the offense did score quicker compared to the CMU game where they didn't score at all.
Yeah,
so with this game, they scored quicker on the offense. Again, they started a little slow, but they did score quicker.
Yeah, they did have I think it started 2-3 and outs, and then they got the muff punt, and they scored off that. And that seemed to kind of get them going a little bit afterwards. So, not the quickest of starts, but again, I like this under bad Sparty because you can't have this versus Washington.
Agreed.
Because you could be down 14 points with those 2-3 and outs. In the blink of an eye.
Right.
And it's not to say we expect the defense to be a complete, turnstile, but Washington is a very good offensive team. You're not going to be able to stop them repeatedly.
Right.
So they have to be able to get off fast. They have to be able to start faster than what they have been.
Agreed. You mentioned injuries, that really hit us the first two games last year. We did have a couple in this game, Jalen Berger and Jacoby Windman. Those were the two injuries, from notable names on the team. That didn't help, but it didn't deter the team overall from still stomping Richmond, to be honest.
No, and I'll put the injuries in bad Sparty, but there's a caveat to I can maybe turn one small thing to good Sparty. So Jacoby Windman, starting middle linebacker, huge injury. He's a fantastic football player. He was off to a great start to the season. Don't know how long he's going to be out, but they're saying that he's probably not going to play in this game. But his backup, Jordan Hall from IMG, true freshman, he didn't look uncomfortable out there. He didn't look like he was out of place.
Mm-hmm.
He read plays well. He reacted. So we're going to see. He's going to have a huge test if he's starting versus Washington, but I'm excited for him.
Yes, I agree. And the fumbles by, I think, the third string running back.
Yes, because Jalen Berger gets hurt, and then you get Jordan Simmons fumbles, and that's how Richmond gets their first touchdown of the game. And then a couple series later on, you have, I think it's Davion Prim.
Yes.
He fumbles, and then their offense probably scores off that. So basically, the 2 turnovers.
Spot of the 14 points.
14 points, yeah. They couldn't get that defensive shutout they were looking for. So that's definitely under bad Sparty. It was disheartening watching the game at that point because it's like, oh man, you want a complete utter domination. And it still was.
Yeah.
Because these are the backups and these are, essentially garbage time twos, but they count.
Yeah.
Especially with how malign the defense has been the last couple of years. You want to put those good numbers on the board when you can because you have a team like Washington coming on, it's going to change the defensive numbers coming up here.
Oh yeah. So, what are some of the good things?
Good things.
The good Sparty.
We talked about it earlier a little bit. Noah Kim. I'm going to say Noah him. I know it's the cliche little joke out there for it. But he's been balling. I believe he was the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, he was. And Nathan Carter.
Nathan Carter, too, yes. He's a part of good Sparty, too, as well.
Yes,
because he had a fantastic game. Some tough yards, good running. It wasn't blocked the best for him, but he always made somebody miss, and he had that little extra burst to get those type of touchdowns. It was always good to see. But back to Noah Kim, it's good to you see that feeling of that quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not to talk about the previous guy, but he didn't perform this well in his first 2 games last year as Noah Kim has. And it's looking like, okay, a net positive. Are the quarterbacks doing where he's at, where he wants to be at? And we have our guy, Noah Kim.
Right.
And he's taking advantage of his performance. And hopefully he can keep on building upon that.
Right.
Because, we're going to need him this next game.
Right. Quick side note, I did see our former quarterback play at Auburn over the weekend. He looked like he picked up where he left off from here last year. But
they won the game. They won, so that's all that matters. And this is a Michigan State podcast. So
yes.
We'll continue about Michigan State.
Like we said, Nathan Carter, he definitely balled. He looks like a very good running back. He's not Kenneth Walker, but he doesn't have to be.
No, he can be Nathan Carter.
He definitely is a good pickup, from the portal, because he definitely looks like a very good, competent running back.
Yes, he hits the holes. He hits the right holes. So that's why the Jalen Berger thing hurts, because now we're going to have to lean on
him a little more
than we should, because Berger's a good talent. He
is.
The ball,
yeah.
Especially the first game, the way he was catching it. He makes good cuts to the outside. When he gets there, he goes. So he's a good complementary back. 1A, 1B. Kind of sucks that he's going to be hurt, but it's a big opportunity for somebody else to step up.
Right.
Jaron Mangum was hurt the first couple of games. He tried to give it a go for his Richmond, but he couldn't. Hopefully he returns so we can at least have someone to spell.
Carter.
And it's just that's where those running back fumbles hurt last week. Because you had the next 2 guys in line, they both them coughed the ball up. And so that doesn't inspire a lot of confidence, but hopefully they'll get their act together because we're going to need one of them. Somebody's going to have to step up.
Yeah.
And so hopefully somebody can.
Yeah, hopefully. But the defense, woo! I think they shut Richmond out for making any or very limited third down conversions.
I don't think they made any until the end of the game when they had with the starters out. So defense looked the part. I know it's an FCS school, and I understand it's just Central. But if you've watched Michigan State football, Central Michigan University in Richmond, the defense looks more competent.
Yeah.
You see them out there, they're flying fast, they're hitting hard, they're being physical. All the things we heard some of the coaching staff preaching about, we're starting to see it. And the defensive backs, I think that's been the biggest improvement in my eyes.
Yeah.
It's just they're competent, and it's good just to see them with communication bust. If someone gets a completion, next play. But you haven't seen those crazy big. All right, it's 3rd and 18. We're gonna get this 20-yard completion because
or 30 yards.
It's just something ridiculous like that. It's all way too often last year. It's good not to see that at least these first 2 games.
Yeah.
And the front 7, the defensive line, oh my goodness, they just completely dominated Richmond.
Oh yeah, they did.
I think they had 7 sacks and 9 or 10 tackles for a loss. That quarterback had no time all game, and that's what you want to see your team do versus a lesser opponent. No disrespect to Richmond, they're FCS school, but Michigan State is the big time opponent. There's the big dog. They act like they should be acting.
Right, they put them in the dirt basically.
Yes.
As you say.
Yeah.
Put them in the dirt. Another thing that I like too is that everyone pretty much ate on offense. I mean, in terms of all the multiple receivers that Kim threw passes to, multiple running backs, outside of the ones that fumbled, but
Yes.
everyone on offense had a very good day.
And I think that makes the offense a lot more dangerous when you put on tape that it's not just going to be one guy. It's not going to be, it's third down, Jaden Reed's out there somewhere.
Right.
Keon Coleman's out there somewhere. Right. It's okay. It's you have Mosley, you have Carr, you have Fitzpatrick, you have Glover, you have Henry, you have all these guys you've seen make plays.
Antonio Gates Jr., he scored.
Yes, he had a fantastic touchdown catch. Very similar to what we saw during the spring game, honestly.
Yeah.
And so that's exciting because you don't know who that guy is going to be. So it's harder for teams to game plan against you, and they don't know, okay, who do we take away? Because you have so many other weapons out there. And Kim did a great job spreading the ball around.
He did. And he got some running ability, too.
Yeah, we started to see, we heard the coaching staff talk about his ability to run, his speed. We actually saw him have a little wiggle. He got a few sacks, a couple tackles. Got to the outside, got a first down. He's looked like a more willing runner this game, and I'm assuming that they're trying to hold that back because you need your quarterback for the whole year.
Right.
I know Kim is not the biggest of quarterbacks out there, so you don't want him to take unnecessary hits at least in these first two games at all.
Right.
So we'll see what they do against Washington because I think they're definitely going to need that because Washington's a better team than Richmond and CMU.
Right.
So the defense is going to be a little bit better, so that accessibility is going to come in handy.
So let me ask you this question.
Uh-oh.
What do you think about Jay Johnson this game? He's become a polarizing coach amongst the fan base.
It's kind of a mixed bag. I don't see the game plan all the time, and then maybe it's just the first two games. I'm giving benefit of doubt because I bleed green. So I don't know with Jay Johnson, man. I don't know. Every once in a while, you just see these beautiful play designs he comes up with, and then you follow. They'll have a big play or something, and do the hurry up to a inside zone. Like, why are we doing this? It doesn't work. It hasn't worked very often, but they keep doing it. And it's obviously part of the playbook, and then it's just inconsistent. So I don't know if this is just him trying to figure out what the team needs. It's just oh my goodness, I don't know. Incomplete, unknown, still.
So in between good Sparty, bad Sparty, he's middle Sparty?
Unknown Sparty. We start winning these games.
Medium Sparty?
We start winning these games, he'll be good Sparty all the time.
That's funny. That's funny. So, speaking of Washington, let's chop it up about Washington, those pesky Huskies.
They're the elite offense Huskies. Michael Penix he's the guy. He's an NFL quarterback, and I don't think he's going to make... Anybody who's a Spartan fan has seen this guy far too long. It's time for him to graduate and go somewhere. So I thought we got rid of him when he left Indiana, and then we put Washington on the schedule, and here he is again. He's had a history of torture Michigan State, so I expect nothing less from him in this game. The defense is not going to look great. Washington is going to score. They're going to move the ball, and they're going to do that to anybody on any opponent they face. So you have to get that out of your head about what the defense is going to look like. They have elite receivers. They have an elite quarterback. They have an elite play calling head coach. DeBoer he's a wizard. He's always had good offense. I believe he started out with Indiana, and when they were the chaos team almost, and they had a great offense. Defense was always giving it up. But he was part of architect of that offense, and he's still doing it right now. So it's going to be a tough task, and that's the biggest thing with Washington is their offense is elite, and how do you mitigate the damage? Right.
I know one thing we talked about off camera was I compared Washington and Michigan State playing back-to-back years, similar to when we played Oregon back in the D'Antonio days, where we played at Oregon, lost, similar to how we lost at Washington.
I wouldn't call it similar, but we lost.
Yeah, we lost. But then the next year, Oregon came to Michigan State and we won. And one thing I do think that's an advantage to playing Washington is that we have experience when we played them last year. So I think there is some familiarity there with that. And I think even though we lost last year 39-28, if we were just playing them cold turkey like we did last year, I would say that, yeah, it's probably going to be like a tremendous beatdown. But I do think that MSU does have a puncher's chance in this game because, again, of the familiarity in playing them last year. And I do think that MSU, and we pointed it out, that they look better on defense this year. They look more competent. They look more like they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So I do think those are things that we can take into the game against Washington.
Yeah, I think some familiarity. They have a year of tape on Washington, their offense, and some of their movements. So you have your defensive guys go out there and dissect it and see what has and hasn't worked against them. So hopefully they've spent the offseason working on a game plan.
Mm-hmm.
At least, like I said, mitigate the damage because they're not going to stop Washington. So there's a chance. I think there's a chance. I personally don't think we're going to win the game. It'd be a tall task. I'm going to root like hell for our team. And I'm going to scream at every touchdown, everything we do right. And I'm going to support the players because I think they're going to be galvanized to play this game and go out there and show who they are and what they can do.
Right. Yeah, especially after the way we lost last year.
Yes.
So I know we've talked about, how dynamic Washington is, on offense. But what do you think some of the things that MSU can do to limit that offense?
So the best way to limit the offense is not keep the ball out their hands. Michigan State is going to have to do something that we have not seen them do yet. They're going to have to play ball control. They're going to have to effectively run the ball, pass the ball, effectively score. So you're going to have long, sustained drives on offense, and those drives have to pay off with touchdowns and keep Washington's offense off of the field because that's the best you can do.
Right.
You're going to have to have your defense get some stops. You have to give them some chance because at the beginning of the game last year, I believe they just marched on the field and then we ended up getting
relentlessly.
We ended up being like a 4th down stop on the 1 yard line, which was like, woo! Stop. And then we get the safety. And then from there, they just kicked our butts. The defense was just giving it up the rest of the game. They didn't quit, but they couldn't stop them. So we need to have them at least get some 3 and outs, some stops, force some field goals. They'll bend but don't break. One thing I did hear is that I believe Washington's starting center is out. So they're going to have a backup. The strength of our defense is our defensive line, so maybe we can
get in that backfield.
Hopefully, but Penix gets the ball out relatively quick as well. So they have checks and calls, and they know what they can do. So maybe we can make them uncomfortable a little bit because pressure up the middle is going to rattle any quarterback.
Right.
So those are the keys to victory. Defense is going to have to stop them, mitigate the damage, prevent touchdowns. Offense is going to have to control the ball. They're going to have sustained drives, and they're going to have to score touchdowns. Kim is going to have to be on point. It's going to have to take not even an A+ game for this partner. I'm talking S+ rank. Like the highest of levels, triple S+ rank, whatever you want to call it, effort for Michigan State to do it. Can they? They have the talent. I think this young talent. I think they have the will, the want, but can they have the execution? We haven't seen this team be sharp for a whole game.
True.
And so,
but maybe this is that game.
Maybe so. Like I said, it's going to take something we haven't seen before.
Yeah. And let's not, discount that Washington flying across country, different time zone. The game is at Spartan Stadium. The start time is kind of a weird time, like 5 o'clock. But yes. I know they got to adjust for the West Coast audience. Yes. So those are some factors too.
I think Spartan Stadium is going to be wild because everybody wants to go out there and support the players.
Right.
We moved on, and the only thing we can do is now support the team and support those players who are there.
And I read too that I believe they're going to be wearing those black jerseys.
That shadows. We'll see. Hopefully, I think we'll put up a game. I don't think it's going to be this complete beatdown. I think State's going to put up a fight. It's not going to be a first round knockout TKO. We're done. We're going to make Washington sweat. Hopefully, that's my hopes. I would just want to see I want to see progress from this team. This is a game in my mind that I had as a loss. I think my prediction was 7-5. This is one of my 5 losses. Can State go out there and make something happen?
That's yet to be determined.
That's why we play the game.
That's why we play the game. All right, let's get to our fun football facts about Michigan State football. So, by chance, give me a guess who you think the all-time leading rusher is.
It wouldn't be fair because I already know. I know who it is. They talk about him all the time.
Well, for those of you that don't know, Lorenzo White is the all-time rusher for Michigan State football. He's rushed for close to 5,000 yards, but hasn't been touched yet. 4,887 yards during his tenure from 1984 to 1987. And he was drafted in the first round by the Houston Oilers.
Ooh,
I do
Powder
remember.
Blues.
Yeah, I remember watching with Houston. I don't know. I'm trying to remember if he played with Warren Moon. He might have. I don't know, but yep, that was
You get
from
your
the
details
highlights.
together.
Yeah, that's why you're the stat guy, not me. But anyway, yeah, I remember watching Lorenzo White as a kid. And yeah, he was a pretty good. I mean, yeah, he was an awesome running back. I mean, awesome running back. And then the number 2 guy on the list is Javon Ringer.
Ah, yes, very fond memories of Mr. Ringer.
Yes, he's rushed for close to 4,400 yards during his time at MSU from 2005 to 2007. He was under D'Antonio for a little bit.
Yeah, I believe just that first year, 2007, because he was a John L. Smith recruit.
Yeah, let's not talk about those times, but yeah, he did have some time under D'Antonio. So those are our fun facts about MSU football. 2 of the all-time leading rushers, Lorenzo White, Javon Ringer, and any shouting outs.
Shout out to the football team and the new coach, the new head coach. Spartan Nation has your back. We're going to be screaming wild from my home. The game is on Peacock. I'm going to be streaming it. We're going to be partying. Hopefully we win the game. Screaming go green, go white.
And hopefully victory for MSU.
Yes, victory for MSU, the most important thing.
All right. Well, this is Q the Woodshed. I'm Ken, the Super Black Spartan. This is my brother Brian, the Super Duper Black Spartan. Williams Incorporated.
The blackest of the black.
And make sure you check us out on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. Peace.